The boarding pass crumpled in my shaking hands as I stared at the departure board. Flight 847 to New York. Departed. My name wasn't on the passenger list because there was no ticket for me. Standing alone in Rome's airport terminal, I watched my husband Marcus disappear with his parents, leaving me behind like forgotten luggage. "We ran out of budget for your ticket," his mother Elena had said with that signature fake smile. "You can find your own way home, dear." Marcus. He just shrugged and walked away without looking back. That was the moment I realized my marriage was built on quicksand. My name is Victoria. I'm 32, a software engineer, and this is how I turned my abandonment into their worst nightmare. 3 years earlier, Marcus had swept me off my feet. Tall, charming, with dreams of starting his own tech company. He convinced me to invest in our future, which meant I funded everything while he played entrepreneur. When his startup failed spectacularly, guess who covered the losses? When his parents faced foreclosure, guess whose credit score saved their family home? The Italian vacation was supposed to be our second honeymoon. Instead, it became a month-long torture session with his parents criticizing everything from my career to my appearance. "Victoria works too much," Elena would sneer. "A real wife puts family first." Marcus never defended me. Not once. But leaving me stranded. That crossed a line I didn't even know existed. Sitting in that airport cafe, surviving on espresso and determination, I called my best friend Sarah back in Seattle. She was a real estate attorney, and when I explained the situation, her voice turned ice cold with fury. "Victoria, you've been paying their mortgage for 18 months. Your name is on the deed as co-owner because of your financial contributions. We can legally remove Marcus and his parents from the property." The pieces clicked together like a deadly puzzle. While I was stranded overseas, they were flying home to the house I'd been financing. But I had something they didn't: legal ownership and a brilliant friend who knew exactly how to use it. "How fast can we move?" "Yes. Fast enough to change the locks before they land." I booked the next flight to New York using miles I'd earned from business trips Marcus never appreciated. 24 hours later, I was standing in the driveway of what was legally my house. Sarah had worked her magic. Eviction notices, property transfer documents, and divorce papers all prepared and notarized. The neighbors watched curiously as I changed every lock, installed new security cameras, and moved Marcus's belongings to the garage. His precious guitar collection, his gaming setup, his designer clothes, all sitting in cardboard boxes like the relationship he'd just destroyed. But I wasn't finished. Remember that failed startup I'd funded? Turns out Marcus had used my investment as collateral for multiple loans without my knowledge. Sarah helped me file a financial fraud claim, which froze his accounts and triggered an investigation into his business practices. His parents' mortgage payments. Since I'd been making them from my account, I simply stopped. Their credit scores plummeted faster than their son's chances of reconciliation. 48 hours after being abandoned in Rome, I was sitting in my house. My house, when Marcus's key failed to work. I watched through the security camera as he stood confused on the porch, then frantically called his parents. When he finally rang the doorbell, I answered through the intercom. "Welcome home, darling." "Oh wait, this isn't your home anymore." His face went white as I slid the divorce papers through the mail slot. "You left me in Rome with nothing. Now you have nothing too. Seems fair, doesn't it? Victoria, please. We can work this out. Like you worked out my plane ticket." "I don't think so." The legal battle was swift and brutal. Marcus's lawyer quickly advised him to settle when they realized the mountain of evidence against him. Financial fraud, abandonment, breach of fiduciary duty. The charges kept piling up like his unpaid debts. His parents lost their house within 6 months. The mortgage payments I'd been covering were more than their Social Security could handle. They moved into a tiny apartment across town, their retirement dreams shattered like my trust had been. Marcus ended up living in his car for 3 weeks before finding a studio apartment he could barely afford. His credit was destroyed. His business prospects evaporated, and his parents blamed him for their financial ruin. The sweet taste of justice. When he tried to start dating again, every woman he met could Google his name and find the court records of our divorce. Abandoning your wife overseas doesn't look good on dating profiles. 6 months later, I received a desperate email from Marcus begging for forgiveness. He'd lost everything. His family's respect, his financial stability, even his reputation in our industry. He wanted to make things right and start over. I replied with 2 words. Flight departed. Sometimes people ask if I feel guilty about destroying 3 lives so completely. Then I remember standing alone in that airport, watching my husband choose his parents' cruelty over his wife's well-being, and any doubt evaporates. They taught me an important lesson that day in Rome. Family isn't about blood or marriage certificates. It's about who stands beside you when everything falls apart. Marcus failed that test spectacularly. Now I'm dating someone who would never dream of leaving me stranded anywhere. Someone who sees my success as something to celebrate, not exploit. Someone who understands that love means protection, not abandonment. The house they lost. I sold it for twice what they owed and bought a beautiful condo downtown. The profit funded a small business loan for my new venture, a consulting firm that helps women escape financially abusive relationships. Turns out being abandoned in Rome was the best thing that ever happened to me. It showed me exactly who I was married to, and more importantly, it showed me who I really am. Sometimes the greatest revenge is simply refusing to be disposable.